Journalists and independent investigators have been locked out of the Gaza Strip. Palestinians there are up against an internet and electricity blackout, making online access and news on the ground very difficult to come by. Social platforms have become a refuge for those able to get online, to find and share information. However, in the last 2 weeks, we've also seen a wave of disinformation, hate speech, as well as shadow banning and content takedowns by social media companies, all of which are disproportionately affecting Palestinians. Helping us to make sense of what's happening online is Marwa Fatafta. She's with the digital rights group Access Now. Marwa, thank you for speaking with us today.
Happy to be here.
Let's start with the total siege the Israelis have imposed on Gaza. You've monitored, you've documented how information blackouts are used in a time of war. How concerning is what we're seeing in Gaza right now?
Palestinians in Gaza are under a complete siege, and there is, of course, a near complete information blackout. During Israel's bombardment campaign of the Gaza Strip, 2 of the 3 main telecommunications lines or companies in the Gaza Strip have been bombarded. People are relying currently on only one line of communications with internet and telecommunications disruptions. And that means that people in Gaza are not able to access information, not able to check on their loved ones, they're not able to seek life-saving information, and they're cut off from the world. They have fewer and fewer opportunities to share and tell their stories and to document human rights abuses and war crimes. Internet shutdowns provide a convenient cover for perpetrators of atrocities, of human rights abuses, to commit those in the dark, to cover the trails of their crimes, and to impede or hinder any future possibility of accountability and justice.
In the first half of this program, we examined some of the genocidal rhetoric that's been coming from Israeli officials and other Israeli figures. How much of that language are you seeing being mirrored online? The calls for violence, the unverified claims?
There is a barrage of hate speech, incitement to violence, content that is dehumanizing of Palestinians, Islamophobic content, anti-Semitic content, and that is all circulating, unfortunately, with little moderation from social media companies. There are, of course, many utterances from Israeli officials on social media that shows their clear intent on committing genocide, including, for instance, most recently by Prime Minister Netanyahu on X, formerly known as Twitter, that this fight and this war is a war between children of lightness and children of darkness, between humanity and the law of jungle. And it raises a question about to what extent social media companies are complicit in entertaining and housing and amplifying these genocidal rhetorics that are clearly in violation of international humanitarian law and international law in general.
On that point, since Hamas's attack on October 7th, we've seen the Israeli government flood social media with ads, with graphic and provocative imagery. What are you seeing there on that side of things? And how willingly have these online platforms played host to Israeli government messaging?
Since Hamas's attack on Israel on October 7th, the Israeli government has launched a social media campaign, I would say an aggressive social media campaign, to shape the narrative and the conversation online. We've seen, for example, the Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs had run up to 86 ads on YouTube, some of which shows indeed graphic content equating Hamas to ISIS and also showing the impact of the attacks. And it's clear that, paid targeted advertisement has become a weapon of war. Governments that have the resources and the capacity to produce such material can use these platforms in order to spread war propaganda, and in this context to justify the collective punishment of Palestinians and war crimes and crimes against humanity that we see unfolding before our eyes.
Palestinians are also saying that social media companies have been taking down their content, threatening to close their accounts. Some say they're being shadow banned outright. Tell us what examples you're seeing And are these acts of censorship on these various platforms affecting voices on both sides?
We've seen users' accounts being shut down, including very notable users and journalists whose voices are very important. There's also been arbitrary decisions made when it comes to removing content. One major concern that is repeatedly being reported is the so-called shadow banning. And whereas companies don't really use that term, I've witnessed it myself, and I've seen many users reporting it that their content is being demoted, downranked. The engagement with this content is significantly reduced in comparison to other content not related to Palestine. Unfortunately, we thought that in 2021 we've settled matters, as in it was clear that this systematic and discriminatory approach to moderating Palestinian content has been exposed. There's no way for platforms to gaslight users or civil society organizations that this is just the result of a technical glitch, which surprisingly we don't see in other crises, like when Russia invaded Ukraine. We have seen actually proactive statements from different companies stating their unwavering commitment to upholding Ukrainians' right to freedom of expression. Such commitment to human rights have not been extended to Palestinians, despite of what companies claim. The user's experience and the reality of what we've documenting states otherwise.
Marwa Fatafta of Access Now, thank you for speaking with us today here at The Listening Post.
Thank you.